So if you're like me, you are tired of the YouTubers who get on here and tell you about how they're gazillionaires and they're going to show you in this 15-minute video about how you can make as much money as they do. And by the end of it, you still don't know what in the world you need to do to actually get a product off the ground. Well, I'm not one of those people. What I'm going to do in the next 10 minutes or so is explain why businesses usually fail within the first year and how you can avoid that failure. So we're going to go into the thing that every business needs to have in order to have a better chance of success. So if you want to know how to have a better chance of success, stick around because that's what we're going to be talking about over the next couple minutes, okay? Now, who am I? I'm Amy. I'm not going to bore you with all the other details. I'm a university professor. I've started a bunch of businesses. Let's get into the nitty-gritty so that you can learn how to start a business in a good way and not be 10 steps behind before you even get started. All right, so let's talk step one. This is going to be a 3-step process we're going to get to so that your business doesn't fail right out the gate. So the first thing you have to figure out is what problem your product or service solves. Now, what I like to tell my students, what I like to tell my clients is you have to come up with a problem statement. This problem statement is crucial to your business being a success because the way that you need to get your potential customers, your consumers interested in your product is by offering a solution to a problem. But if you don't know what problem your service or your product is solving, then we have a really big issue. So a lot of people who fail don't know this problem solution aspect of things. So let's look at what a good problem statement looks like so that you understand how you need to write your problem statement so that you have a leg up on the other people who are starting their businesses in this year. The first non-negotiable in a problem statement is if no one is worried about this problem, meaning no one is spending time, money, energy on it, then guess what? It's not a true problem. So when you're thinking about writing your problem statement, make sure this is something that your potential customer, that consumer who you want to buy your product, is actually spending time and money on trying to solve. Because if they're not, then guess what? It's not a real problem, okay? So that's the first step. Now that you've identified an actual problem, you have to actually structure your problem statement. So I'm going to put up here, this is what your problem statement should look like. It's basically a Mad Lib where you're filling in the blank. The specific person, that's your target, struggles with a specific problem. This is the solution that this is the problem that your solution is going to solve because the root cause is why this is a problem, which leads to some type of consequence, okay? Now, if you look at this, you can see that it says measurable consequence. Now, what I mean by measurable consequences, this is something that you can actually fix. This is something that can be measured. It's something that's quantifiable. It's not an emotion. It's something that you can actually measure, okay? So keep that in mind. Now, there are key constraints that I need to emphasize here with this problem statement. There are actually 3 keys to a good problem statement. The first is it's one person, not a group. So the problem statement is focusing on a person, not an entire group. So you're not looking at baby boomers or Gen Xers or millennials. You're looking at a single person when you're developing this problem statement. The second thing is it's one problem and not a cluster of problems, okay? People have many problems, but what you're trying to figure out is what is that one problem that you can emphasize that your product or service solves, and you need to stick with that. And then the second thing is that one consequence, not a vague frustration. So the problem that they have is one thing. The consequence of that problem is also one thing. This consequence cannot be vague. It has to be very, very concrete, because if it's not concrete, then you won't be able to say how your product actually solves it. So first we're going to look at a bad problem statement. This is usually what I get when I run workshops or classes. This is usually the first problem statement that I get from people. So here is a bad example. Small businesses struggle with marketing. Why is this a bad example? You'll say, okay, well, there's a problem and it seems like it's a good statement, right? It's a terrible statement. It's an absolutely horrible statement. Why is it a horrible statement? Well, first of all, it's too broad. There's no sense of urgency, and there's no cost associated with it. So there's nothing quantifiable on it. If there's nothing quantifiable, then how are you as a business supposed to make money from it? All right, so now that we've seen a bad one, let's look at a good one. All right, here's a good one. Solo consultants with full-time jobs struggle to consistently attract qualified leads because they lack time to build and maintain a marketing system, resulting in unpredictable income. So this is a good problem statement. It's specific. It's not broad. It focuses on one audience, not a group. It focuses on one problem, not a cluster of problems. And it has one consequence that is measurable. So that is your problem statement. This is an example of a very, very good problem statement. So when you're thinking of your problem statement, you're trying to come up with one, try to mirror it from this problem statement, okay? What I want you to think about when you are forming this problem statement for that potential customer is first is you have to be specific. I am going to continue to hammer that into you. You have to be specific. So who is this exactly? That's the first thing. Who is this problem statement specifically for? When does the problem show up? That's very, very specific. You have to know when they're having this problem. Is it all the time? Is it a certain time of year? Is it once a week? Is it twice a week? Again, how often are they having this problem? What happens if they do nothing? Is it the type of problem that if they just did nothing, they'd still be okay? Okay, so that's very, very important because if it's a problem that they don't actually need to fix, it can just stay a problem and nothing happens, then there's no immediate urgency to want to buy your product. And then what are they already trying to fix this problem with? Okay, you have to know this helps you build your competitor list. So these 4 things: who is it exactly? What does the problem, when does the problem show up? What happens if they do nothing? And what are they already trying to fix the problem? These will help you build a better problem statement. The more specific you can get, the better you can answer these questions, the better off you will be when it comes time to actually put the business in motion. So now that you have your problem statement, you have to develop your solution statement. This is how your product or service is actually going to solve that problem. Now, with this solution statement, you have to be blunt. That is the number one thing, okay? The solution statement is going to explain the outcomes, not the tools used to resolve the problem. That's what you have to understand, okay? So the solution statement explains the outcomes. It doesn't just list a whole bunch of features of the product. So let's look at a solution statement. So this is the solution statement formula right here that's on your screen. I help the specific person that we are trying to market or advertise to solve the specific problem that they have by, and that's where this mechanism or approach comes in, so they can have a clear outcome. So what you're trying to do here is you are trying to fill in this solution statement. If you can fill in the problem statement and you can fill in the solution statement, you are 90% of the way there to actually starting off on the right foot when it comes to building your business, okay? So let's look at some good solution statements and some bad solution statements so that you have some examples to draw from while you're trying to build these problems and solution statements, okay? So here is an example of a bad solution statement. I help people grow their business with online tools and strategies. Okay, why is this bad? I want you to think about it. And then I'm going to give you the answer, obviously. But if we were one-on-one and you were in one of my classes or my workshops, I would ask you, why is this bad? Because I want you to critically think about this, because the only way you're going to come up with a really good solution statement is if you understand why this is a bad one. All right, so the first reason it's bad is because it's generic. It's very, very generic. There is nothing specific about it. The second reason is it's undifferentiated. There's nothing about it that sets you apart from someone else who's trying to solve this exact same problem. The third thing is it's pretty meaningless, right? I help people grow their business with online tools and strategies. It's so meaningless that I still don't know really what you do, how you do it, or how it's going to affect me, okay? How are you going to solve my problems? There are lots of tools, there's lots of different strategies to do this. There's nothing that's intriguing about that to make me want to actually interact with you, okay? So now let's look at a good solution statement. I help full-time professionals build a simple online business by validating one offer and launching it in under 90 days without quitting their day jobs. Now, this is an example of a fantastic solution. It's specific. It makes me intrigued about what they're doing, and it's time-bound. Time-bound is great because you're telling me that in 90 days, my problem is going to be solved. So this is a great example of a very, very good solution statement because it has all the key components that a consumer, potential customer, would want to know when they are thinking about partnering with you for business. So there are three key things, just like we had three key things with the problem statement. There are three key things you have to keep in mind when you are building the solution statement. The first is if the solution does not directly remove the stated pain, it's wrong. Okay, so you have to make sure that your solution is actually removing the pain point of that consumer. The second, if the solution requires behavior the customer is unwilling to do, it is wrong. So if you are suggesting that they do something that a customer probably won't do, then that's not the right solution statement. And then the third thing is if the solution sounds impressive but doesn't change any outcomes, it is wrong. So if you are saying that you have a solution, but the person still is not going to increase their revenue by X amount, or decrease the amount of workforce that they need, or decrease the amount of time needed to do X tasks, then guess what? It's not a good solution statement. So when you're coming up with the solution statement, make sure to ask yourself these three questions that we just went over to see if that solution statement is actually something that's going to resonate with that consumer. Now you know how to create a problem and solution statement, but what you also have to think about is the problem and the solution statement actually good? So what I want you to do is after you read your problem statement, you read your solution statement, I want you to ask yourself, so what changes in the person's life if this solution or product exists? If the answer is unclear, if the answer is emotional, if the answer is hypothetical, then guess what? Your problem and solution statements aren't done and you need to work on them a little bit more, okay? If they're not emotional, if they're very clear, if they're not hypothetical, then great job, you did it. You have a problem and a solution statement, and you are way closer than most of the people who start businesses to being successful. So that's it. I hope you learned a little something. This is a quick tip, problem solution statement. If you can do this before starting your business, then guess what? You are much more likely to be able to get your business off the ground. Now, as always, I can't guarantee success, but I'm just trying to help you have the tools so that you can be successful. I hope to see you next time.